Parent Union, for the opportunity to speak with you about the Draft California Math Framework. I'm Lori Meyers, a California teacher and parent of 2 California public school graduates. By the end of this video, you'll know what the California Math Framework is, why it's important, and what it means for your children. The California Math Framework is the authoritative guide to parents, teachers, and administrators and curriculum developers on how to teach Common Core math in grades K through 12. It's not a curriculum or standards. Instead, it's important guidance on how to implement Common Core in classrooms, schools, and school districts. It's developed by the California Department of Education every 7 years or so. The last math framework was published in 2013, and right now the California Department of Education is in the middle of developing the next one for 2021, and that's the draft math framework that we're talking about today. Teachers look to the framework for the latest and greatest methods, resources, and research for teaching math and addressing the needs of all of our students, English language learners, gifted and talented students, everyone. In fact, the State Board of Education requires that the framework provide guidance for us teachers on how to address the needs of all of our learners. School boards and administrators look to the framework to decide how they're going to design their math programs, which math classes are offered in which grades, and what material is taught in those courses. Curriculum developers look to the framework for what they'll publish in textbooks and math programs for K through 12. It's important to know that the framework's recommendations are not mandatory. Your school district has the authority to choose how to implement math with or without following the framework's guidelines. But teachers and school districts take the framework very seriously, and the State Board of Education allocates large sums of money to train teachers in the framework. Plus, when California adopts a framework, the nation usually follows. So this framework is very important and influential. So, what's new in the draft 2021 math framework? There are many differences between the 2013 version and the new draft, but the biggest changes occur in the 2021 framework's recommendations for middle and high school. Rather than what most school districts offer now, which are multiple math pathways for students to choose when they're taking math, the draft framework recommends keeping all students together in the same math class all the way through 10th grade. The framework also recommends against acceleration, not allowing students who are ready to test out of math class and move ahead to the next one. There's also a strong focus on social justice and equity. The framework encourages teachers to insert socio-political consciousness into the math curriculum, making a focus on environmental and social justice part of what students are learning in math. In fact, many of the changes to the math framework are made in the name of equity. Let's take a look at what this might look like in your school district. Here's a picture of what most middle school pathways look like today. You can see 3 pathways: green, blue, and orange. Each color represents a different math pathway through middle school. Having multiple pathways, or lanes, allows students to be in math classes that are meeting them where they are and growing them to their math potential over the course of the year. What's key about these multiple colored lanes is that they're flexible. As students grow mathematically, they have the opportunity to place into a different lane so that their math needs continue to be met. And as all parents and teachers know, some students need more support, some students need more advancement, and we want to meet everyone's individual needs. By contrast, here's a picture of what your middle school math pathway would look like if the draft California Math Framework's recommendations were implemented in your district. You can see that the 3 colored pathways are gone. Instead, there's one pathway, the same for all students, regardless of proficiency. One teacher in the same classroom with a wide variety of student needs. Students who need more support are a group of students who need more advancement, along with all students in between. It's one size fits all for math. Another big difference is that Algebra 1, the class that's the gateway to higher math, and that's usually offered in middle school, is no longer an option. Here's a similar example for high school. This is a typical high school math pathway. Again, you can see that there are multiple pathways so that students are taking the math classes that are meeting their individual math needs. Some students may be ready for Algebra 1. Some students may be ready for Algebra 2. Some students may be ready for math analysis, but everyone's needs are met. You probably noticed that there are red arrows going back and forth between the lanes. This means that the lanes are flexible. Just like in middle school, when students' math proficiency or interest changes, they have the opportunity to move between lanes so their individual needs are met. Now, here's a picture of what your high school math pathway would look like if the math framework's recommendations are implemented in your school. Starting at the bottom in year 1, it looks like there are 3 pathways. But Algebra 1 and Geometry on the bottom right are really the same course as Integrated 1 and Integrated 2 in the middle. Integrated 1 and 2 are just integrating the same material as Algebra 1 and Geometry over 2 years, so most schools won't offer both. That leaves 2 lanes. The Math, Investigating and Connecting lane is more about computer literacy than math. It's great that students have that choice, but for most students, they are left with one pathway, the same one, regardless of proficiency. One teacher in the same classroom with a wide variety of student needs. Students who need more support are grouped with students who need more advancement. It's one size fits all for math. Moving up to the classes in the cloud, it looks like there are lots of options, but the upper level courses will be changed significantly to accommodate the wide range of math proficiencies of the students, essentially decreasing the rigor of the classes. And about calculus. The math frameworks writers are very clear that they disagree with what they call a rush to calculus. The frameworks pathway supports this by requiring students to wait to take algebra until 9th grade, making it very difficult to get to calculus by 12th grade, which is a goal for many students. What's distressing and perplexing is that many of these changes are recommended in the name of equity, but the framework is anything but equitable. Parents who have time and resources will help their children with math or pay for outside tutors to work with their children, so their children will continue to advance in math even if they're bored and unchallenged in school. But talented math students whose parents aren't familiar with the curriculum, or who are unable to be with their children, or who don't have the resources, won't provide this extracurricular enrichment. For these students, their math pathways will be limited to what they get in school. This is unfair and inequitable. And this is why the California Association for the Gifted and many other organizations, in the name of equity, have come out against the framework's recommendation that advanced math opportunities be eliminated. So what's happened so far? Well, the first draft of the math framework came out in January, after hundreds of public comments, most of which strongly oppose these changes to the framework. The California Department of Education is now in the process of writing the second draft, which will be released for more public comment in late June. We fully expect the second draft to continue to recommend that math lanes and acceleration be eliminated. So we are encouraging all California parents to get ready to send more public comments starting in July. In November, the State Board of Education will meet to approve a final math framework. So we have between now and then to let them know that we do not want this for our students. So what can you do? Talk to your friends and family about the draft California math framework. Sign up for updates. And remember, no matter what the framework says, your school board does not need to implement its recommendations. Get in touch with your school administration and school board and tell them that you want better for your students. And please stay in touch with us for more information and resources. Thank you for your time. Together, we can work to ensure that all California students have the equal and excellent math education that they deserve. Thank you.